Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Franklin Templeton says XRP plays a foundational role in global settlement infrastructure. Okay guys, let's get into it. Okay, you love to see it guys, you love to see it. You know, it's nice to see such a big company like Franklin Templeton actually just speaking, positively, or let's just say realistically about XRP, because once again, the one thing I will say about being an XRP holder is like so many people are against it, companies, etc. and the like. Sometimes it just feels like you're in a battle with just everyone to be an XRP holder. And so you've got a company here like Franklin Templeton, which are huge, by the way, absolutely huge. And they've recently released an XRP ETF. And this is the kind of thing that we see as the obvious, right? But these are the kind of things that we have to kind of explain to, some of the non-believers. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that goes for everyone, but there are people who just really hate XRP, so they can just never see, some of the obvious things. And I'll give you a key proponent of this is the SEC, right? Like if you remember when the SEC lawsuit was going on, the SEC actually had the audacity to turn around and say that they don't believe that XRP has any utility, which is absolutely ridiculous and absolutely pathetic that they actually tried to make that argument, but they did, as stupid as it was and as stupid as it made them look. But yeah, here we've got Franklin Templeton talking about XRP. So I'm going to cover off a few things here about what they've said, and then I'll just give you my thoughts. So, why Franklin Templeton says XRP is, quote, foundational, unquote. In its announcement, Franklin Templeton emphasized XRP's unique position within the digital payments landscape. Roger Baston, the firm's head of digital assets, said blockchain innovation is transforming global finance, and XRP adds a key incentive layer for decentralized networks. He explained that in a diversified digital portfolio, XRP acts as a core asset, offering proven utility, liquidity, and institutional level transparency through the ETF. Baston also noted that XRPZ simplifies investing by managing the tokens directly while providing daily transparency, regulated custody, and liquidity. David Mann, head of ETF product and capital markets, reinforced these views. He stated that XRP's role in global settlement infrastructure makes it a compelling addition to Franklin's lineup of digital asset ETFs. XRPL's role in global payments and settlement. Franklin Templeton highlighted that the XRP ledger, in brackets XRPL, launched in 2012, is designed for payments, remittances, and tokenization. The network can handle thousands of transactions per second and is already used by banks, payment providers, and fintechs for fast cross-currency settlements. Its energy-efficient, low-cost design makes it one of the most practical blockchains for real-world finance. This proven utility is why Franklin Templeton sees XRP as important for the growing global digital payments ecosystem. Okay, so just a few more words here. I've got a quote from Franklin Templeton. Quote, "The rapid growth of our ETF business reflects Franklin Templeton's commitment to staying at the forefront of innovation," unquote, said David Mann, head of ETF product and capital markets at Franklin Templeton. Quote, "XRPZ offers investors a convenient and regulated way to access digital asset that plays a foundational role in global settlement infrastructure through the transparency and oversight of an ETF," unquote. Okay guys, so you've got it right there from the horse's mouth. Franklin Templeton seeing the actual cause and utility and purpose of XRP. Look, I've said it to you guys before, when it's all said and done, XRP has its place. It's the top 3 cryptocurrency for a reason. It's actually managed to stay as a top 3 cryptocurrency even during the, the SEC lawsuit. Now, don't get me wrong, it did get knocked off its place for a while, but after that ended and XRP rallied last year, it went straight back to the number 3 spot. And so, don't get me wrong, it is still fighting for position. It's still having its ups and downs, getting knocked out and then taking it back. But the fact that it's actually stayed within the top 5 cryptos, to me, is hugely impressive. When you've got a lawsuit going on with the SEC, the government, who are basically trying to banish XRP and just destroy Ripple completely, the fact that there was still enough demand there and belief for people to hold on to the asset and keep it within its place, and it had no access to the US markets at that point. you know, like it was pretty much shut out besides one exchange. And at the end of the day, like when it's all said and done, yes, you still had that exchange, but it's only one. And you've got to understand that when it's that limited, people are not going to always go to that one exchange to just get that one asset, right? They're just not going to do that. So you've got to understand that when you're, for example, like if you're in like a bull run, right, and things are going really well, at the end of the day, if you're looking at cryptos that are going up and you've got multiple choices, because it's not like XRP is the only crypto out there, you've got to think of how people would have looked at this, right? They've got to think, okay, so XRP has a lawsuit going on around, you know, Ripple, which could really destroy XRP holders, and I could only get it from one exchange. So you could be on Binance, you could be on FTX at the time before the collapse, for example. You could be on crypto.com. You could be on all these exchanges, any one, but it just wouldn't have been Uphold, which was the, you know, the only exchange that was still sticking to their guns and trading XRP. You might be thinking, well, that's a lot of effort for me to go to get this crypto, especially when it's in the middle of a lawsuit and I don't know if its future is certain. I'll just get a different crypto instead. So this is where I say, like, the strength of XRP to stay where it did during that time throughout the lawsuit and to get its place back, that's incredible, because it could have been a thing where XRP slipped into like the top 20, the top 30, and it could have been just fighting to get back into like the top 20, for example. It could have just never recovered, right? So the fact that it stayed there, that just shows you how strong, you know, the holders are of XRP and the demand. It shows you how big the demand is, right? And being honest with you, like, these ETFs have been very impressive for XRP. It's been the strongest ETF that's come out in 2025, bar none. So that just shows you how much demand is really here. So look, for me, I look at, like, for example, you know, Tom Zach, I think it's Tom Zach if I'm thinking rightly, the Swift CIO, who was saying like negative things about XRP. This is where I just question these people. And I'll be honest with you, like I've said it before, I just question their knowledge. To be honest with you, like I am just going to say that outright, because, you know, you've got here Franklin Templeton who can see the obvious, and yet you've got, you know, Tom Zach. Now, I do believe he was kind of saying negative things because he was getting trolled by people. So if that's the case, then fair enough. But if he really believes some of the things that he said about XRP, then I'm just going to say point blank and blunt, he's very lacking in knowledge. Like, fair enough, you may be doing your thing at Swift. That's old traditional finance. You don't know what you're talking about when it comes to the new finance, because at the end of the day, the things that he was saying about XRP were just blatantly incorrect, just factually incorrect. And also, not to be, not to be a dead horse with this, but, you know, Swift have gone with Ethereum of all platforms to build their layer 2 to do cross-border payments. Ethereum of all networks. So again, that kind of shows you, like, hey, like, not to be funny, but these guys don't really seem to have the best of knowledge when they're picking what network to do their payments on. Like, yes, you have got the top 2 cryptocurrency, cool, liquidity wise, get that, but in terms of picking the right one for the best service, not exactly the best choice, right? We know what Ethereum's like in terms of how high the fees are, they fluctuate, the congestion, stuff like that, failed transactions, all that kind of thing. We know it, blah, 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 blah. So to me, I already look at them and say, like, yeah, if that's your choice, then clearly it shows to me your knowledge about crypto isn't really the best. So yeah, for me, when I look at this and seeing Franklin Templeton saying this kind of stuff, it's just nice to see, you know, a company that gets it, you know, that actually understands crypto and what XRP can do, and telling you, yeah, we do believe that this plays a good part in, you know, settlement infrastructure. So this is where, like, you can see some of the institutions, even if it's not all of them, they can see what XRP can do and they see the vision. So for me, I think this is, you know, it speaks volumes in my opinion, very positive, and we'll see how things go. But this is the kind of stuff that we've believed about XRP for a long time. You can see that other institutions are starting to understand that vision, which is why they're getting their ETFs. So it's all playing its part, you know, it's all playing its part at the end of the day. So very positive news here. And I think, you know, as this grows, I don't know when it will happen, but I think it's very possible that we'll get a BlackRock ETF at some point in the future. I don't know when. I'm not trying to say that, you know, there's any kind of date that I have here in mind, but I think long term, you know, they're going to follow suit. You know, I think they're going to just try and get as many ETFs as possible. And, you know, if you're looking at ETFs, why wouldn't you go with, at the very least, the top 5? That would just make sense, right? So I think there's a lot more things coming on the horizon for XRP. I think there's still like another like 7 ETFs to go as well. So, you know, this is just the start. Like, this is just the start of the big adoption wave that's coming through. But yeah, real great stuff to see here, and I think it just shows you that the future is looking very bright for XRP overall. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell. Take care.